I'm making a Maine Blueberry Molasses Cake today. This recipe is a hidden jewel, and I discovered it on my trips to Maine many years ago, and family members gave me the recipe. Between the buttermilk and the molasses and the fresh blueberries, this cake is such a winner. I'm going to be making it in a 9x13 cake pan. I'm going to do my dry ingredients first, so there'll be 2 full cups of all-purpose flour. It's always good to keep your dry ingredients separate in the beginning. And then I'm going to add the spices, so a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then there'll be a half a teaspoon of ground ginger. And also we'll add 1 teaspoon of salt. Here's the baking soda, and you're going to need 1 teaspoon of that. So stir the dry ingredients up ahead of time so they're really well blended. I'm using Crisco because this is the authentic recipe, and not everyone uses it today, but they did in the old days and they still do. If you'd rather use butter, you can, but it won't be the same. Now you can make this whole thing in a KitchenAid or with an electric mixer, that's up to you. So we're going to add 1 full cup of granulated sugar, and it's going to seem kind of bumpy and lumpy at first, but don't worry about that. It's going to smooth out later with other ingredients. And here is 1 large egg that you want to blend in. Give it just about a minute or 2 and it will start smoothing out a bit. Here is the molasses, and I'm using unsulfured molasses, and there's 3 tablespoons. Make sure you get every bit of it because it can really stick to the spoon. Blend everything really well. Each step is really important. See how smooth this has become? It is very thick, and I've switched over to a large, heavy whisk. This is going to really help, but if you use the electric mixer, it's going to be way easier. I'm going to start combining the dry ingredients with the softer ingredients, and you can add it all at once. Make sure you get every bit of it. You'll need 1 cup of buttermilk. This really makes your molasses blueberry cake so tender. If you want to learn how to make your own buttermilk, I'll include that in the recipe at Diane's World Cooking on Facebook. So I'm adding the buttermilk about 1/3 of a cup at a time. I really want to blend this nicely. So grab your whisk, or if you're using your electric mixer, it's time to get this blended really well. And now it's time for the star of the show, the blueberries. I was lucky enough to be able to hand pick my own blueberries up in Waldoboro, Maine, thanks to Ken and Norma, who have an incredible amount of blueberries growing on their property. So these are cultivated blueberries. They're not the really tiny ones, but they're absolutely delicious. And they freeze really well, so if you can pick a whole batch, pop them in your freezer and take them out and make this beautiful cake. Carefully add your blueberries to the batter and blend them in. You don't want to crush them, so I'm adding them 1/3 at a time also, like I did with the buttermilk, and just fold them in, and they're going to be great. You will need a 9x13 pan, and I'm just going to butter it. You don't have to put flour in this, and you could also spray it with Pam if you want. I'm adding large spoonfuls to each corner and through the middle, and I find this is a great way, using a spatula like I'm doing. This is an offset spatula, and it smooths the whole batter out perfectly. Bake your cake at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes, and here it comes, and I put a toothpick in it to make sure it's clean inside. That's the secret. Isn't this beautiful? I'm going to let this cool before I cut it. I like to cut this in squares, and you can figure out any size that you want. Use a spatula to get that first piece out and all the rest, and you can see that the pan is pretty clean. You can serve your molasses blueberry cake just as it is, or you could add some powdered sugar, some extra blueberries on the side, or a scoop of vanilla ice cream. You are just going to really love this cake. If you'd like to support my channel, please go to Ko-fi.com and you can make a small donation to buy me a cup of coffee. It would really help support my channel.